Hello there, Teen Mom watchers and Chick Chatters. We haven't talked about Teen Mom in a while, not since Andrew. What's his name, Andrew? Oh my, what was Amber's latest victim's name? Gary. Not since Gary escaped.
Gary.
Gary. But I started this episode off with the cute little flashbacks of all the teen moms, and I mean Cheyenne, but all the teen moms having their babies. And Cheyenne. I think that this is important for like later, but they all show us just like how young they were. And now we're seeing how young they were versus the kids now. And the kids now, some of them are turning 16, like Bentley and Leah and the twinses. They're all going to be turning 16 this year, next year. So it's getting really real for us. And they're even getting solo scenes all of a sudden. We're seeing the kids get solo scenes. This is what MTV wanted.
This is what we have truly been waiting for, is to have these solo scenes with these kids. And I think we've always had these horrible thoughts about the production. What the production's horrible thoughts would be that if something were to possibly happen, like history repeat itself, which is not uncommon, we are setting them and their friends up to be comfortable on camera to talk about it. I'm here for it either way. It's really cool to see a little looky-loo into their social worlds and their social life.
It's just so weird for me because they were just like little babies, and we can't help but feel like we're their aunties, even though they don't even know us. It's just so strange.
I think all the transitions are new too in this season. They're focused on the kids now. All the transitions are as if they're reels or TikToks of the kids' girls' Bentleys.
Oh yeah.
Looking. So
the title's about to switch to moms of teens.
Or it will repeat itself.
Possible. So just like other seasons, we're going to do this by girl. We'll start with Ashley. So Ashley is back, even though there were so many rumors that she wasn't going to be filming anymore or whatever. But, you know, they're not going to let that bar story go. So that's what we pick right back up with.
Yeah. And naturally, I doesn't really have anyone to film with. So this is kind of, I think, why Cheyenne's even in this first episode, even though I know we're not to her yet. But we do see Ashley. I'm not mad to see her. I like following her story. I wish that the girls could get along a little bit better, although I understand drama went down, but I love to see Holly. So I'm
honestly, all that's a moot point to me at this point, like with all this other stuff going on. Like, who cares who spit on you?
I know, which I think is why Cheyenne does reach out. But actually, we don't focus too much on her this episode, but we do find out that she's still dealing with the whole situation with Bar, and he's about to have an arraignment to figure out how he pleads. And we find out that he's going to plead not guilty, which means they will likely have to go through trial. I don't see any other way. That's what happens when you plead not guilty. You have a trial and a jury.
Wonder when she talks about testifying, if she means she's going to have to testify for court or for Bar. And I feel like that puts her in a really weird spot, because even though I see her mom's point 100% that Ashley is trying to protect Bar, and maybe that's just like something that in their culture they're used to doing, because I have heard that before. But I do think Ashley also has a child involved in this, and I think that's where her emotions really get confused, because she's got to think of Holly too. And if it was just, you know, this is a boyfriend, I don't have any child involved, like, yeah, stand up for yourself or get out of it, do what you got to do. But it's harder when there's a child involved, and that's their parent too. What happened to her, nobody should have to go through that. And I think that her mom is absolutely right that her and Bar have had this really toxic relationship for a very long time. Don't think they should be together. What he did, holding her hostage or whatever the case was wrong. Should have never showed up there.
I mean, it's obvious that she is scared in that moment. I understand that she doesn't want the father of her child in jail or prison either. Maybe she thinks she's thinking of her daughter in that way. But even though Holly wasn't there when Ashley's exposed to all of this stuff and has traumatized herself, it greatly affects her parenting. It greatly affects her life. And now she has to cart her child around and take her child to see you in prison if she wants to maintain a relationship. And all of that is now her responsibility because of your choices, Bar. So I feel so bad for Ashley in this situation that she has to make these decisions. It sounds like Ashley did not want to pursue charges, but usually in domestic violence kinds of situations, prosecutors can pick them up themselves. And I do think when this goes to trial, I don't think it ultimately ends up going to trial, or it probably would have happened already, or I don't know, the court system's slow. But if and when it goes to trial, she is going to have to plead on behalf of the prosecution, because she is the victim here. Whether or not she wants to say, I am asking for whatever because I'm a victim, it doesn't matter. That she's the one that was involved, that got victimized by Bar. The prosecution is going to have to probably give her a court order or a subpoena, because it doesn't sound like she wants to be involved.
See, and for Ashley, it's probably also extra weird because she didn't call the police. So it was like mom that called the police. And she didn't really probably want any of that done. She probably thought she could handle it or get herself out of it without involving the police, which is scary because you shouldn't feel like that. If it's that dangerous and you need help, you should be able to feel like you can ask for help. But yeah, I can see how conflicting this whole thing is for Ashley. And it's not so simple as what did her mom say when they got out of court? Oh, you have Stockholm syndrome and you're feeling bad for your captain. I was like, wow, woman. Like,
that was mean.
It was so out of pocket. I was like, okay, it's one thing to think that, but he's going through it. You know?
Sorry, but Bar is not her captor. Bar is someone that she was with for like probably a decade. They've been together for a long time. They have a child together. They both have done nasty things to each other, right? It's not like Ashley is the best partner in the planet either. She did not do this, but I bet you there's been violence perpetuated on both sides from them.
She wasn't kidnapped by like a stranger or something and developed Stockholm syndrome and whatever. Like you said, she was in this long relationship and he made a bad choice one day to try to block her from leaving and barricade her into her own home. Terrible, abusive, not right. It's not
they
that,
have a toxic situation on their own. It's not have anything to do with being captive or he wasn't keeping her in a way financially isolated, those kinds of typical things where someone's really schmoozing you in that way. This was more of a I have a temper problem or I have a jealousy problem.
This was more of like a domestic violence issue to me than it was like a kidnapping. Because if she was removed from her home and taken somewhere, then I would consider that a kidnapping. Or if somebody she didn't know or somebody she did not want around her at all, did not have a long-term relationship with. You know, if Bar would have took her somewhere else, like that would be like kidnapping to me in a way.
But that should be the charge. I'm not a lawyer, but he barricaded the doors and told her she couldn't leave, and he took her phone away. And so I think he definitely did something. But yeah, I don't know what the definitions are of all these.
I just think her mom's being a little bit aggressive about it because for one, she never liked Bar, but you know, now that Bar's really messing up, he's like, gotta get rid of him. And I agree with her mom to an extent, but I just think she could be a little bit more compassionate towards Ashley when it comes to Bar and this whole situation. I don't think we need to treat her like she's been kidnapped for months or hours or days. Like Ashley went through a traumatic experience that she's already struggling through probably because she's got to not only deal with her own emotions, but her daughter's and your mother's at the same time as well, telling her what she should be feeling and what she should be thinking. And it's easier for somebody on the outside to say to you, like, you should feel this and you should think that and you should stand up for yourself and you should be fine testifying and all these things. But it's a whole different thing when you're the one in the relationship. Getting a last season, this lady was trying on wedding dresses and now she's going to have to testify in court. It's crazy.
Yeah.
The turn.
And I think she's really worried about going to court because they are both public figures. And so anything that happens in court, if they go to trial, there's going to be a lot more context put into this situation, trying to figure out what really happened and what led up to him showing up at her house and barricading the doors and all of that. Because if he's pleading not guilty, he's going to have to give a reasonable reason why he showed up there and felt like he had to keep her there. Which I don't know how you could figure that out, but their text messages are going to be shown for at least the last year and all the interactions that they've had. I mean, I know Bar and Ashley have cleaned up their act a lot, but they've also talked about and admitted to doing some illegal things together as well, and also some questionable things. And so I feel like this is almost a tactic for Bar to scare Ashley as well. I'm going to plead not guilty and just put your whole life on blast of a judge.
Jeez. I guess we're going to see how it plays out. And I am excited to see Cheyenne reach out to Ashley. I think that they were actually more friendly before. So I understood Cheyenne's decision to disinvite Ashley to her wedding. In fact, I've been in a very similar situation myself. You got a wild card. You're not sure if they're going to be starting fights at your wedding. I think it's natural that Cheyenne would disinvite. I think she actually did it in a very nice way. Like me, I just didn't invite the second time around because I was just fortunate enough that the first time I was going to get married and sent out invitations, my husband deployed, so then I had to cancel that one. And then well, not so much lucky, but in this situation, because in that meantime, one of my friends decided to have beef with one of my bridesmaids, and it got to the point where they were threatening violence, and I was like, well, I can't have that at my wedding, and I can't.
Don't worry, it wasn't me.
It wasn't her, but I was like, giving me no choice here because this is my bridesmaid. You gotta go. I never actually said anything. I just never sent out the new invitation to her. But I think we're cool. We just never talked that often.
Did she know it was postponed? Do you think she showed up on the original date? Like, what the hell?
No, I think she knew I postponed.
Okay.
I think she was in the chat still when I postponed.
So we are, I think, naturally moving into Cheyenne's direction. Their whole storyline these days is her and Zach want to get pregnant, but they keep flip-flopping on who wants to get pregnant and who wants to wait. And then when they're on the same page, now the elusive pregnancy problem happens.
I could relate to her a lot this about that whole storyline. I think because now I'm starting to try, but I'm like in the first month, so I'm not expecting much of nothing. But I think it's really easy, like trip yourself up a lot about that situation, especially when you're actually trying and you're in your 30s. Because when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, these kids, they had it so easy when they get pregnant as teenagers. Like they don't even think about it, then it happens. We gotta think about it. We gotta plan ovulation days. We gotta take these little strips and stuff. Like, you know, it gets serious business when you get older, and it feels almost like the fun is taken out of it in a way. It's like almost like, why won't this just happen on its own? You just overthink it a lot when you're trying. Especially.
Your mind really does have an effect on your body. Even when we were younger and we had pregnancy scares, right? If you thought you might be pregnant, then all of a sudden your boobs started to hurt and these other things started to happen and smells were weird, but you weren't, right? And so your mind plays such a big role in it. So I feel bad for people who are actively trying, because the second you start thinking about it is the second body responds to it, and there's the most elusive and mean ways, it seems like.
Yeah, and I think she talks about this a little bit, but it is weird going from I don't really want a kid right now to then when you're like, okay, like I'm fine with it, and then it's like difficult. It's like weird because you went all that time making a conscious decision of, oh, I don't want to get pregnant right now, so let me do this, this, and this, when it might not have been that easy to begin with.
Right. It's weird how much your mind is in charge of everything. So that's
mental
kind of
warfare.
It is with your own body. That's kind of the stage set for Cheyenne and Zach.
Do you want to say about Zach? I'm glad to see him working in this season. It's just funny how he's like, I gotta go to the office now. And it's like, Zach, shut up. Not like last season you weren't looking up firefighter careers on the local computer.
I know. And even when he brings up this little weekend trip to Las Vegas, he talks about how, oh, I don't have to work this weekend, or I can take it. He acts as if he's already the CEO. And later on, Diane's dad, comes over and corrects that narrative real quickly and says, I have to teach this man slowly because I still know so much. So, he's been running.
He's putting Zach in charge, and Zach's already trying to have a baby 3 months into his new career.
They just do things so different. They're so lucky to be in the financially privileged situation that they're in, so that they have room to make some of these kind of funky decisions. It works out for them because they have so much to fall back on. Like Zach has this whole business to fall back on to take over. It's just very convenient and nice for them. I'm not saying their life probably isn't hard for them, but
they really made it hard for me for a couple episodes watching Zach go through that whole process just to be handed over a whole business. I don't know. I see what you're saying though. That's nice for them, but it's also kind of like, girl, you told us last season that you don't want to have a baby till Zach is stable. Zach's been at this job for 3 months, girl.
And that's the thing is they make decisions so weird. I think Cheyenne thinks he's stable now. The second he was like, yeah, bet, let me take on this job, take on this role, even though I haven't even done it yet. The next scene, she's like, well, I'm ready to have a baby.
I mean, if she's ready and she wants to, that's fine. She was originally saying she likes her body right now.
So. Yeah, she had a lot of excuses. And then all of a sudden, this man started working and she was just ready. I would be turned on too if I was just watching him sit down and then all of a sudden he stood up.
He said he's going to work and she's like, come back home early. And it's like, girl, you want to go to work. He's supposed to be running the thing. He should be coming home late, girl.
I was watching her on Snapchat just recently, probably a couple days ago, and she gave us all a tour of the office that Zach is in charge of. And this is a company with, I think, several offices. So it seems that even here and now to this day, Zach is still only running one of those offices.
Well, it's a good start for him. And before that, what was he doing? He was chilling on Cheyenne's couch.
Running the couch. Yes, running through his brain. Cheyenne's dad comes over and he is always the voice of reason. He's always the peacemaker. He's trying to get people to get along. I can see really both sides of this. He's recommending, it sounds like, to Cheyenne that she reaches back out to Ashley because of what's going on. And I could see why it might be a good idea to reach out. I really like her dad's perspective of it might feel good for Ashley to have one less enemy right now, even if they're not best friends. But at the same time, I think sometimes it might come off a little self-centered. Oh, you're dealing with all of this. Let me come over and, for what?
On TV and so we can film us reuniting. It does feel a little disingenuous. And I do think that maybe the timing might have been a little bit better if it was a little bit later. I don't know. I also feel like if it were me and I was Ashley and I not very nice to this girl. All of a sudden she's coming out of nowhere. Like, I would appreciate it, but at the same time kind of be like,
And Ashley's kind of caught up in, honestly, kind of a peculiar situation when Cheyenne calls too, because if she denies Cheyenne again, that's gonna also make people have opinions about her and think something about her, and she doesn't need that right now.
Cheyenne's such a random person to contact her about this. They've had a little fallout. So it does feel a little strange, but I thought it was even weirder, the phone call. Like, can we talk about that phone call? Who calls somebody and says, hey girl, I'm in Vegas? Like,
especially after their last phone call or their last interaction was pretty much like, I'm good, see you later.
I'm so surprised that Ashley wasn't like, did I miss something?
I think the producers had to have been more involved in this than what was let on. I think Ashley had to have known Cheyenne was going to call her.
Yeah, and now that you say that, did Zach then plan Vegas in advance because they always knew they were going to call?
That's what I'm wondering, if the whole thing was planned for Ashley to have someone to film with, and then they just decided, oh, we're trying to have a baby, blah, blah, blah. I didn't even believe the whole opening scene with Cheyenne with the pregnancy and, oh, it's negative. I don't think she even needed to take a pregnancy test at that moment.
That was weird.
I think Cheyenne's whole jig was fake this whole episode, except for the conversation between her and her father.
Allegedly.
Supposedly.
I think it could all have been, because she starts off this episode just coming in with this pregnancy test. We don't even know if she's late for her period. We don't know anything. She just said that the app told her this is the time to take the test. It gets negative, and then all of a sudden she's going to Vegas to try again. Have you even had a period yet, man? Like, shouldn't you wait till your period starts over? Or are we in a different chronological timeline now? Because the Teen Mom multiverse just got messed up to me.
And why are you going to Las Vegas to try again? I get what Zach's trying to say about,
Just
let's pick up the spirit and pick up the mood, get out of the house. But you guys live in California. Go to Sedona. Go to somewhere pretty where you can relax, not Las Vegas to stress yourself out and drink a bunch. What the hell?
Well, I think part of that is because of Ashley, but I think another part of that is because Las Vegas is so close to where they're at. I think, what is it, like a 20-minute plane ride or something?
Sedona's in California. It's way
Well, I know, but maybe they've already been there this week. Gotta remember, we're talking about Cheyenne and Zach.
But that's why I think it's all producer driven. Because if your point is to go somewhere and put a positive spin on trying to have a baby, Las Vegas is just about the last place that I'm going to go. It's just not happening. I don't care if it's down the street. I don't care if I haven't been there in 75 years. If I'm trying to go be happy about growing my family, I'm not going to Las Vegas, the land of sin and drunken adults and stress and
like, they're trying to play off the storyline like Cheyenne's so stressed about getting pregnant, so maybe Zach just thought, we'll just get her drunk. Maybe should be a little bit more.
Don't they tell you to not drink when you're trying to make a baby because your body needs to be happy?
I don't know. But anyways, yeah, that's pretty much what's going on with Cheyenne. They leave us on this cliffhanger of, is Ashley going to hang out with her or nah?
Or not.
So we'll go over to Maci, which is so crazy watching Bentley turn 16. That's Maci's storyline right now. And it's probably going to be for at least 2 to 3 episodes. Yeah. But she does have a really cool party plan for him, and she's got cool ideas for his gift. She's been co-parenting with Ryan really well, and Amanda, which I truly like her. I just think she's so funny. I know she's had her issues, but so is Ryan. And I just think she's perfect for each other.
Doesn't take herself too seriously, so I think she's a good person to be on television, especially a C role like that. Her story's not going to be told, and so I think it's good that she doesn't take herself too seriously. She's just funny. You showed up for that little lunch or whatever. Maci said something about the food, and she's like, I'm gonna tear it up. The whole time she's just shoving nachos in her mouth.
She shoved it. Yeah, they were so funny. Even when they were pulling in, they're like, "This is steep." And it is.
I remember one season in their house.
I think that's crazy, but I can't even believe he's never shown up in the driveway to pick up Bentley or to drop him off or something like that. But I guess he did go through a lot of sobriety and not sobriety and rest and not a rest. But I just remember Bentley running up that damn driveway.
Now you know why. Because Ryan hasn't pulled into it ever.
I don't blame him. That did look dangerous.
I ain't wasting the gas of my truck to get up that hill. You run it up there.
I'll meet you at Mamie Jen's next time. They have the conversation about Bentley turning 16. It was really cute to watch because it really did take about 16 years for them to get on a decent co-parenting level. I think they were good while when they still kind of had a thing for each other. They were good and not good, but they would kind of go back and forth. And then once you got with Taylor and he got with Mackenzie, things got really bad between them. And more so after she got pregnant and he got with Mackenzie, then when she immediately got with Taylor, because I think they were fine for a little bit. And I thought part of it was just, one, his addiction, because obviously you're not the same person, and two, I think Ryan's always like, I don't know. I think he always had some kind of weird thing still for Maci. So once I think
Ryan's
a
in love with
combination
Maci forever. Yeah, I think
for
even
sure.
now he's happy to be in her home. He looks like he's starstruck when he walks around, even in her little back seat.
Purdy.
I'm gonna let him run around like you ran around. He just talks to her like he is so in love, which is fine. I don't think he wants to or needs to be with her anymore. I think he's very in love with Amanda too, but
Yeah.
he's never gonna stop loving Maci.
No, and I don't really blame him. She's always been pretty nice.
She's great. We love Maci. Maci shares a picture of the truck with Ryan, the Jeep truck that she wants to get Bentley. And Ryan agrees, even though Maci was having a hard time asking, to financially help out with that. I don't know if it's half, I don't know if it's whatever, but I thought that was nice that they could talk about that without having to ask.
Well, he jumped on it too.
I think Maci was trying to open it up that I'm open to a donation without asking him to help. And I think he picked up on that right away because he's sober partially. And he was like, yes, I will help a whole Jeep. Wow.
He was honestly like a breath of fresh air this season. Listening to him reminisce about Bentley turning 16. I don't know. I feel like this is the Ryan we've been wanting for a while. So I'm really hoping that this recovery is going to keep going the way it is. He went through a real rough few years where he was not there.
I hope this family with Amanda is something that he stays together with for forever, because I think it's a good little fit. So I'll be happy to see them get married and have a baby.
And then have a vasectomy.
Yes, please.
Please, Ryan.
Just one and done for them.
Yeah, but basically they just buy this Jeep. All four of them went to go check it out. They all liked it. They had this weird scene where Amanda was like sitting outside waiting for them to come in. But the way she got so excited to hear that Bentley, she's stuffing her face, and Maci's like, Bentley wants even just all four of us to be. She's like, bless his heart. She's stuffing her tears, and she's scarfing down this.
She's just feeding that baby. It's just wild. I'm like, just hungry.
She's just got a personality that Mackenzie lacks, and I'd like her for that reason alone.
Yeah. When they buy the truck, Maci brings up possible rules and curfew, and Ryan says something about once you start talking about it, you're going to find out really quick how much he's like me. Like don't tell him what not to do. It's like, oh my God.
I made me crack up because they were talking about making rules and stuff, and he's like, well, Bentley, he can just tell you whatever.
He's gonna tell on himself.
He's gonna tell you whatever and then just do what he wants. And that's what I think he was trying to say.
Oh, I thought he was trying to say like Bentley's soft. He'll just tell you.
Possibly. He got cut off, so I don't know exactly what he was trying to say. But what I got out of that was he's a teenager, so I mean he can tell you he's doing one thing, but he can be doing another. Because they're talking about like could be getting people pregnant or doing this and that. He's like, I don't know what that's got
to do with the truck. I just love Ryan right now.
Ryan's probably my favorite character.
I know.
He's so funny.
I know. But you know what? They really keep bringing up a lot of stuff about letting Bentley run wild. Is he going to have any rules? What happens if he makes a
Literally, when we got introduced to Bentley in this episode, he says, hi, I'm Bentley.
But I'm wondering, are they, without knowing the future, are they trying to foreshadow the most of Bentley being, I mean, he really probably has the highest chances of being the one to get someone pregnant.
Well, he's a cute kid, but I think he's honestly just so sports focused that I don't know if that's really his focus right now. I mean, I've heard he's had little girlfriends before, but I think it'd be cute if him and Leah one day got together. I think that they'd be a real cute match because I think she's really outgoing and like spunky and stuff like that. And then he's like Ryan, like just really.
They loved each other when they were babies, right? Or was that
Aubrey? I think it was Jason Aubrey. Yes, but they were cute too together when they were
so cute. Yeah, they would like hold hands. I think he kissed her on the cheek.
They almost looked like little siblings.
So I think we're on to Leah. Speaking
of Leah's kids, they start off with a little solo scene with the girls as they're making fried apples and looking at Leah's little ring from her little boyfriend.
Her little boyfriend. I think all the transitions are new too in this season. They're focused on the kids now. All the transitions are as if they're reels or TikToks of the kids' girls' Bentleys.
Oh yeah.
Looking. So
the title's about to switch to Moms of Teens.
Or it will repeat itself.
Impossible.
Possible.
I think what's funniest about Leah's little boyfriend comment is when we first heard her say this, like last season, that she had a little boyfriend. I thought she may be like some Southern 6-year-old woman trapped in a little girl's body. But now I'm kind of like, she is in middle school going into high school. He might be a little boyfriend. Like, he might be a foot shorter than her.
He could be. She is tall and long and beautiful.
Yes.
He could be a little boyfriend.
Or a little boyfriend. And if that is the case, that makes it even funnier to me, because if she's going around calling him her little boyfriend and he is in fact her little boyfriend, I'm gonna lose it.
I think she was trying to sort of minimize it, that like play it off like it's not a big deal. But he got this girl a ring.
A little promise ring from Kay's or something. I mean, he probably spent like $200 on that, or his mom did. So for his little girlfriend, while they're making these fried apples, Leah does come in and she starts talking to them about high school and what doors they're gonna be walking through and all that jazz.
Yeah. This obviously sets up the rest of Leah's storyline for the episode with the doors and everything, but it must be really hard to be asking her to do something that she sees as different from everyone else. And it also must be really hard to let her make those decisions on her own too.
I think Leah's in the toughest spot. I felt so bad for her this entire episode. And I just kept thinking back to when she first found out about the muscular dystrophy, how broken she was, how broken Corey was. They were broken to the point where they got back together.
Corey was in denial about it for so long, and then seeing his process of starting to accept that through doctor's appointments. I went to a lot of doctor's appointments. They must have done so much testing, because almost for a whole season, that's all we really saw them do in their storyline, was taking her back and forth to the doctors. And that must just even be the tip of the iceberg. It's just a lot.
I remember feeling so horrible back then too during her scenes.
And the prognosis was bad then. I mean, they were talking about, potentially it being terminal and her not living really past her teens or 20s. And now they've done more treatments, and the doctor, I think it was like 7-8 seasons ago now, the doctor had that conversation with her where she should have a full life expectancy, which was significantly different than what the life expectancy was before.
Yeah, and I think that's a combination of like the treatment that she had and also the developments in technology and medicine and stuff. But yeah, this whole thing is about the girls' first day of school. In fact, Addie wasn't involved at all. We didn't see her once. I don't know if her and Jeremy are in a battle right now where Jeremy won't let Addie film, because he was there on the first day of school.
Addie was in the episode, but they did not focus on her. She was in the car when Leah drove them to school, and Leah was screaming at the girls, "I love you, have a good day." And you could hear her in the back seat go, "That's so embarrassing."
Yeah, okay, I did hear
They
that.
gave her those little subtitles. So she was there, because I thought the same thing. We didn't see her until probably halfway into the episode, and I thought the same thing, like, where is she? And is she maybe not allowed to be filmed right now? But then she made her little appearance. She's always got something to say.
Before they actually go to school, they meet up with their friends and they both have their own scenes, which was so weird.
I loved it.
I almost felt strange watching like a young group of teenage girls hanging out and talking about stuff. But Leah's little redheaded friend is trying to be the next Amanda. She'd be asking all the hard-hitting questions.
I know.
How do you feel about not being in classes with Allie? I was like, did the producer give this girl a list?
They may have. It's not uncommon for them to do that to the adults, so I wonder if they did that maybe for them. But both of these friends in both situations, with Allie and with Leah, are great friends, being really supportive. Leah's friends are trying to help her to be more independent and not worry so much about her sister. And Allie's friend was so cute. She was over here asking questions like a therapist asks, "Well, don't you think maybe if the door's so heavy, it might hurt you?"
I was like, did her mom, Leah, call this girl before the friend date?
It's possible, but I think I could also see myself saying that to you if you or any of my friends. You want to support your friends, but also sometimes we tell ourselves stories about how much we're capable of, really. And if that door is heavy, and there's a lot of doors in schools that are heavy, it probably is going to be hard for her to open. And not just that, if, like her friend said, if it slams behind you, you're going to be on the ground, and that's going to be embarrassing AF.
Even more so.
Just make a quiet little entrance on the side.
Her friends do need to be the ones that say this to her, because when it's coming from Leah, she's like, "You're my nagging mom. I don't want to pay attention to you, whatever." She's getting more and more angry with Leah asking her to use her wheelchair, or is it more, or whatever. I understand both sides of it, so it's just so hard for me because I'm like, I get Allie wants to just fit in. She doesn't want to use her wheelchair. She wants to look like the other kids. So it's got to come from her friends that it's okay for her to be in that wheelchair, and that's what she should be doing. Because Leah is also right that if Allie overexerts herself when she is young, that she will probably be wheelchair bound when she's older.
Yeah.
If that's Allie's choice is to be wheelchair bound when she's older, just so she can live out her youth, I guess that's also her choice. So like, it's hard to say.
I think that's where Leah is having such a hard time because Ellie can't appropriately make that choice for herself right now. She can only think about what she wants right now, cares about the future. But I don't think she truly gets it. All teenagers think they're invincible and that nothing bad is ever going to happen to them, even if something bad is already happening to them.
Yeah. That's why I felt so bad for Leah this episode. She was like such a mom though this episode, watching them try on clothes,
taking them to school shopping. Yeah, she was definitely in her full mom parenting era. And I love this for Leah. We've also seen Leah go through so much, from addiction to marriages, divorces, losses of kids. She has a really sad childhood history as well, stuff with her dad. Just she's been through a lot of stuff. So it's nice to just see her happy, kids happy. Everyone's pretty functional.
Not for long. But she picks up the girls from school, and Allie does tell her that she decided to use the door all on her own. And I think that's a lot of what's going to end up happening between her and Allie, is that Allie's going to have to come to these conclusions on her own because she either faced some kind of struggle. Because I'm sure when she tried to pull that door open, she was like, holy shit, I ain't doing this all year. Then she's got to ask people she don't know, high schoolers, to open doors for her. That's almost more.
Or trying to shimmy behind someone when that heavy door is going to come hit you right in the ass, just like your friend said is going to happen.
I don't have muscular dystrophy, and I used to run into doors in high school all the time.
Doors are no joke. A lot of them are heavy.
They're heavy. They swing right open. They swing right in. They take your ass right out. That's for sure. Leah's wanting to meet up with some of her friends at some scrimmage. Literally right after they leave the school, it looks like. She pulls out of the school and they're like, can we go back to school? And she's like, what? This
part gave me a realization that I have not yet thought about when it comes to having kids, which is the amount of time you spend in the damn car, especially if you're divorced, because then you got to count the time in the car back and forth to homes. But just even in general, I mean, taking the kids to school, taking them to sports, taking them to doctor, taking them to their friend's house. Every time you walk in their room, they want to go somewhere, they want to do something, they want to spend your money. I'm like, I'm tired already.
The older they get, I think it's the worse until they get their own car. And
then
you just don't know where they're at for 2 years.
We feel worried because by the time I have teenagers who want to go places and be places, I'll be 50 years old. I want to be on the couch. I already want to be on the couch. I'm already tired.
Honestly, though, and once they hit 16 and they get their license, you don't even know where they're at for a solid 2 to 4 years.
16 is great, but 13 to 15, when I need to be in the car all day, is going to be treacherous.
But then they leave and go off on their own. If they get into something, they're still your legal responsibility.
I remember the first day I had my license, I had a car already. So I had my license. I'm all ready to go. I'm going to go to my friend's house. Walked into the living room, told my mom I'm leaving. She goes, you can't leave. I'm like, why? I have a car. I can go wherever I want. She's like, but it's raining outside. You can't drive in the rain. I was like, I'm leaving. He was terrified.
Yeah. I bet Aaliyah wanted to do the same thing because they got into this really awkward argument in front of her, Allie and Leah. Oh my God. Leah, you just need us to name your kids different names. Come on. I'm having a tongue twister every time I'm talking
Leah, Aaliyah, and Allie.
I think I'm going to start calling Aaliyah Gracie again.
That's a good idea.
Because that's what they used to call her.
That's not bad.
Anyways, yeah, Gracie is, I think she was trying to tone down the situation. I'll drive your wheelchair to you. But basically, Leah wants Allie to use her wheelchair if she's going to stay and go to the scrimmage. And she's not having that.
Yeah.
I can see where the wheelchair almost may be annoying because we're going to roll up your wheelchair to the bleachers. Well, if your friends want to sit way up at the top, and and I think that's also probably a danger to Leah as well. I don't want her sitting at the top. What if she falls? And I feel so bad for both of them. And they keep having the same argument over and over again. And I think Allie's getting to a point where she's starting to resent Leah, but Allie also... I think
she knows that too. I think it's just when you're a teenage girl, you take out every single problem you have on your mom, especially if your mom is the one that's kind of holding those boundaries. And I can guarantee Allie's frustrated about her muscular dystrophy and the limitations that she does have. And she just wants to ignore all her limitations. That's her pathway right now. And her mom is here reminding her all the time.
And she's also downplaying it. I'm just gonna go straight to the bleachers and sit down. I went to many football games. You walk around that thing so
But
much.
she's also new to this too. I think she's trying to make decisions independently, but she's also very naive. And she even learned today herself that her mom was right about the door, but she had to figure that out herself. So I think maybe the same thing might happen. She's gonna storm out the door like she does and go to this scrimmage, and she's gonna think that she's sitting down and all her friends are gonna go walk around, and she doesn't have her wheelchair as far as I know. So she's probably gonna have to park her little hiney there by herself, and she's not gonna like that. She might find out next time she should bring her wheelchair so that she can get around.
But I about teared up myself when I saw Leah crying at the end, where she had to
So
pull
sad.
off and just cry because it just took me back to when she found out about the muscular dystrophy. And Leah has struggled with this so hard. Like, she's always walking this fine line of, do I let her make her own choice, or do I try to push her into what the doctors are saying and what I think is best? And it's
Allie's not incapacitated, right? She just has limitations, and the way she deals with those limitations determine how long she's going to be able to use her body in the way that she wants to, and she doesn't get that in the age she's in. And yeah, I feel so bad because Leah is trying to help her to see that, but Leah also doesn't know herself, what that's like exactly and how difficult it is. It's just so sad. It's heartbreaking for everybody.
And she said, I don't know what it's like to be trapped like that. It's so sad. You feel like you've been on this ride with Leah at this point, because she really was one of the first ones on there to have a kid with an actual issue. I remember when we found out as viewers way back 15 years ago when Allie got the muscular dystrophy. I just remember feeling so shocking because you see all these young kids having babies, but usually the babies are healthy, even though it's ironic. You get people who are all together and they struggle to have babies, and these teenagers can pop them out and they're all healthy and everything. But it was like almost eye-opening to see a set of twins and one of them not be healthy. And I remember that shook me a little bit when I was young and I was watching the episode. I was like, wow, this can really happen to anybody.
So it's the teenage mindset, right? Things happen to everyone else, but they don't happen to us. As teenagers, we don't get hurt, we don't die, we don't get pregnant, and if we do, everything's fine. So yeah, I think this show has just been so groundbreaking, truly. I know that it's really played itself out, and there's probably a few years we could have done without for sure, but it really was a groundbreaking show, especially for people our age, 30 to 34. We were really this age when this show started, and 16, watching 16-year-olds have kids. And now to think that I could have, I don't have any children, but to think that I could have a 16-year-old is mind-blowing to me. To watch them go through all of this and be my age right now, I'm very proud of all of the women that are on this show to be where they are now. I know they got money and whatever, but we've seen a lot of these other teen moms do other things. So it's not like it's easy to be a good person either. Not that all of them are good people.
You have to remember too, Leah doesn't have a partner right now to support her through this. It's got her sister, I'm sure, and friends and family.
But her
and
sister
everything,
more so depends on her. That she has her for emotional support, but as far as help, Leah doesn't really have help.
No, she doesn't have somebody supporting her like intimately or holding her when she cries. She really is truly a single mom dealing with this completely on her own. And Corey is there as Allie's father, but they have a cordial co-parenting relationship, but they're not that close. They can't be.
Yeah, it's not like Leah can right now when she's in tears, hysterical, and talk about this. I think that would be awkward. I think she could call him and say, hey, I had a really hard day because me and Allie argued about this and that, but not when she's crying. There's boundaries there now.
Maybe if he wasn't married, especially to Miranda, who, what happened between him and Leah and Miranda. So.
I'm gonna start calling Monkey. Okay, you can.
Anyway, side note, actually, Corey does have a TikTok he's apparently been very active on. I don't know if TikTok's still around, but yeah.
It is, I think. Well, you can't download it from the App Store, but if you have it.
Do you think we're going to see Janelle in all this season?
I didn't see Janelle in the trailer.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't see her, but I heard that they weren't filming her that season.
I saw Kale in the trailer. So I did take a little bit of a note for the trailer for the season. Quickly, it shows Bentley driving. It shows Leah, her boyfriend. They're going to
her little boyfriend.
Prom or homecoming or something. It talks about Brandon and Teresa blocking Kate and Ty. So I'm happy that we're going to start to talk about that because that's pretty much consumed all of their social media lives right now. I think they're actually starting a whole podcast.
They're still talking about it. In fact, it came out recently that not only did they block them, but now they can't even send gifts. So now they're completely cut off and it's completely closed.
I think this is going to start to get a little bit nasty too.
The only thing I can say is when it comes to that situation is it sucks. And it's been quite a ride to watch, but we are in the final years of these kids being teenagers. Carly's probably turning 16 this year as well. So she's got 2 more years. So hopefully in 2 years, I just feel so bad that it's like once that 2 years hits, she could get a hold of them at any time. It doesn't have to be when she's 18. And if she doesn't when she's 18, I hope they don't feel slighted in any way because she's going through her own journey.
And Tyler has talked about this at length and how he feels. A lot of people ask him questions and he's answered that question a lot. And he's been very open that he's okay to respect whatever decision she makes. Just right now, he's not sure who's making the decision. So that's why he's not respecting what's being said. But if Carly were to not reach out or to say, please don't contact, then he said he's willing to deal with that. But we're going to talk, I think, a lot about them and that situation this season.
I also remember their situation back then as well. And although I do think that they needed a lawyer in a different adoption agency, I'm excited to see them have this little talk with Dawn. Even though I know how much they love Dawn, but I'm ready to see them confront her on a few things because she was the adult in the situation regardless. She could have definitely guided them better and said, you should have a lawyer, you should do this or that. But she was working for that weird ass agency.
So. And I drive by that agency all the time. It's actually right down the street from my old apartment, but it is right off of a very main highway in Michigan. And so when you drive down the highway, you can just see it on the side. And every time I drive by it, I look at that agency and I'm like, that's where they took out baby Connie.
I bet that's what Tyler and Caitlin think when they drive by it too, because I'm sure they drive by it a lot.
I'm sure that they do. Anytime they drive north, I'm sure that they do because that's the highway most people take in this area north. So we're going to see a lot of that. Kale shows up on the trailer. It looks like Maci's there, Kate and Tyler are there, Kale is there. I wonder if maybe they're promoting Kale's podcast. I can't think Kale would show up without promoting something.
She went on some kind of podcast tour, I think, and I believe because Maci has a podcast as well, and I think because Caitlin and Tyler are developing one, they had some meetup. They might all, I'm not sure about Maci, I'm not sure about Caitlin or Tyler either, but I know Kale has her own podcast company, so they could all be branches off of her company.
I do know the one that Tyler and Kate are making is underneath Kale's.
Under Killer?
Yeah,
I think that's what it's called, is Killer.
Killer Media, yeah.
Yes, and I believe Maci might be under hers as well, but I'm not sure. I'd have to look that one up.
I just know for sure that Tyler and Kate's is.
Well, I will listen to theirs before I listen to Maci's.
And Kale's. I'm so over Kale's podcast and all her shenanigans and whatever.
Podcasts.
I know. I used to be an avid Coffee Combos listener. This was years ago, even pre-COVID. Unless there's something that I hear on another YouTube channel or another podcast about Kale's podcast, those are the only ones I really listen to. I can't seem to get behind it anymore.
We don't talk about Kale much on here because she's not on the show, but jumped her original podcast and now she's got Becky on a podcast and it's not even doing very well. She's like begging people to start listening.
I know. I think I listened to one of those recently, but I don't even remember.
It's hard to listen to, and I think a lot of it's because, for one, it is pretty negative, and then I've seen people say that too. They're not even really talking about anything new or different. You could definitely expand on other things, like Becky's situation. They don't talk much about her. She just wants to know everything about everybody else. Like, I'd like to know more about Becky and how they became friends even, or I just feel like they dived into it by talking crap about V, and then now they ran out of steam and don't have anything to talk about. They were playing Never Have I Ever.
It's the same exact thing that happened with V.
Well, now we found out though that V, the reason she made that podcast with V was because she was mad at Lindsay. So like she starts these podcasts.
That's the one I listened to, was the one that Lindsay was on with the new show. But that is just Kale in her wicked ways. That's why I can't. I don't support it. So Kale is appearing. I'm sure it's just to support her podcast. We also do get a spoiler alert that Ashley and Cheyenne do end up talking, even though they wanted to leave us on a cliffhanger.
Of course they did.
See Mackenzie and Cheyenne are both trying the pregnancy situation. We find out that Mackenzie did 2 embryos. She said, I didn't tell my family about it, but the doctor confirms that there were 2 embryos. I don't know if those were what was inserted or if those were what were implanted.
I think what they do is they take out like the egg and the stuff, and then they fertilize it and they make the embryo in the lab. So maybe that's what they told her, was that she has 2 embryos. I only kind of know like the Kardashians, but
yeah. I know you can insert more than one, but I don't know if they were trying to scare us or if like you said, maybe that's just what she has. So we'll see. We're going to talk about pregnancy with both Cheyenne and Mackenzie. Also, there's some weird exchange where they show the front of Amber's house and a producer asking if she's pregnant, and she says, just pray for me. Like, who would you be pregnant by? Are we talking about Gary still, or what's going on?
I think she came out recently. I don't know. I didn't really read much into it, but I saw something recently that said that she had 2 miscarriages in the last year.
I saw that too. Where did I see that?
So it's like with Gary or with Gary or with
I don't know.
Andy or with other
don't know.
Gary or with a different Gary, or did
You
you find
can
a new
also
Gary?
send Leah some weird card. I don't know if this is a card for her birthday or something, but it makes both of them cry hysterically. So I don't know what's written in this card, but it's not going to be a happy card.
Better be an
Um,
apology.
Hopefully, but I think it's a peace out. It looks like. I don't know. We do also see Bree. She's going to talk about wanting to get her tube tied. It looks like her mom's right back on the couch voicing her opinion. So it looks like all that crazy stuff is sorted out or whatever
on
from
track.
last season. I hope we do hear a little bit more about how all that went. And then we see Jade. I love Jade. She's just like the youngin' floating around. She's arguing with her teenage mom, telling her she looks crazy, and she said, "Wow, good." And Jade's face is just shook. She just can't believe how much a teenager her mom is.
Oh yes, we love Christy.
Big gulp. Christy is back with her big gulp. She looks like she's getting even bigger too. I feel bad.
Them big speak open.
Jade looks good. She's so cute, even outside screaming at her mom, calling her crazy. She got little pigtails and curls going.
We're gonna have a pregnancy season with her next season now that Cheyenne or all her friends are.
Oh yeah. I mean, it seems like all of them are trying. I think we're gonna have a whole nother second generation.
It's either they're getting themselves pregnant or they're getting their tubes tied. One of the two.
That's true. That's the first episode and the trailer, and I am excited for this season. I think this is the season we've all been waiting for, and I'm really, really happy to see that we're gonna follow some of these teenagers a little bit independently.
I think it's cute and it's also a little creepy. I don't know how I feel about it, but I do hope we see Janelle actually this season. And I think it's just because like, I show her me at all last season if you weren't gonna follow her still.
True. I saw some things about her divorce got dropped.
It wasn't like that she dropped the actual divorce. It's that the type of divorce she was trying to do wasn't
correct filing, probably because she was
like she didn't need that filing anymore. I don't know.
Still getting divorced.
Yeah, he needs to.
I thought so. Yeah.
It was Grace says he's been rehomed.
He has been rehomed. Shout out to Grace Report. We love Grace.
We love her.
All right, Thick Chatters, Teen Mom viewers, we're happy to have you all back. Thanks for sticking around. I know this was a long one.
Remember to like, subscribe, share.
Click the share button, copy the link.
Use, reuse, recycle.
Soon we'll finish each other's sentences.
And goodbye.
Goodbye.